Hamza.
You see, that is the beauty of politics. Unfortunately, when my brother was speaking, I had to remind myself that, look, this is Dennis Miracles Abuaji, who for the last 2 years attempted to convince this country how well they had performed as a government. The same Dennis
was trying to convince us, or he was telling us what
he was trying to convince the good people of this country.
So it had not been done?
Absolutely. Because the people lived the experiences of the last 8 years. They lived the failures of his administration, or the administration of which he was part. They lived the 8 years of broken promises. You remember 1 district, 1 factory, $1 million per constituency? These lies that were cooked and championed by his boss, Dr. Mahama Bawumia, to hoodwink the good people of this country to win the 2016 election. You remember?
He says you are doing the same.
I'm getting there. So this is the same person today on television seeking to question the steps of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, who is barely 4 months in office as President of the Republic of Ghana and has been given a 4-year mandate by the good people of this country. So if we are talking about a party that is known for breaking political promises, I think that the NPP, and especially Dr. Mahama Bawumia, will carry the day. Because Ghanaians know the level of dishonesty that he injected into the politics of our country. And on top of that, the brazen abuse of state power under their stewardship. Today, we have a government that is sincere enough to admit that even the rot that we thought that we're coming to meet is far more than we expected. Remember, this is a crime scene. Remember, these are the very people who cooked figures and were at loggerheads with the IMF. So how were we to know?
They've accused you of saying
the extent of the damage.
The budget.
We have not. How are we to know? They were at loggerheads with the IMF in terms of even how they calculate their debt burdens. Strange calculations. So this is their record. And unlike them, we are a group of moderate politicians. And His Excellency President Mahama has lived it before and has that track record of experience. And so we will not look the Ghanaian people in the eyes and lie to them. And I've given you a clear example of what we did to confront Dumso. And for 8 years, in all his submission and dancing around, he failed to tell you a single contribution they made to increase our generation capacity. He failed around this table to challenge the debt burden of the independent power producers. And the fact that they had to rely on our World Bank guarantee of $500 million and $120 million to meet. That tells you the kind of party we are dealing with. But my brother, what do you expect? They have just lost power. They are still frustrated. They are still angry. And they must move on as a political party. And you don't expect him to sit around this table and commend His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama for living up to the dictates of his 120 social day contract. So the expected routine would be to poo-poo the sincere steps of the NDC. And I'm happy that Ghanaians know that. But on this table, the NDC will always have his version. The NPP will have his version. But the reality in terms of how far we have come with our 120-day social contract is out there. Those of you in the media, you become the arbitrators in this particular issue. You can determine whether indeed what the NDC is saying or not. Not the figures I'm churning out, not the 46% he's churning out. And I have made reference to your own 44 you are churning out.
2% is significant.
The 2% is very significant. Yeah.
So you see, you can decide not to take my figures. You may decide not to respect his figures. But you, as an independent media house, ChannelOne, you have done your own assessment of the 120-day contract. And on your website, CTFM, you have indicated that you are scoring the government 80%. That is you. It is not the NPP's marks. It is not the NDC's marks. I have told you that based on the 25 promises we made,
it's based on what was promised and what has been done.
What we have achieved.
Let's go
As a government, our statistics, yeah, we can go to that. I have it before me. Our statistics puts us at 72% completion based on our own assessment, because we can also do the computation. And I have it before me. And later today, His Excellency President Mahama will be engaging the nation and making a presentation of how committed we have been as far as that 120-day social contract is concerned. My brother is asking what is the value or significance.
Exactly. I was going to ask you about that.
You see, one of the fundamental problems we had in this country over the last 8 years was because the NPP government led this country into a state where the good people of this country lost confidence in the political class. They simply could not trust the political class again. So such novel introductions is an important way of engendering trust, especially for a new government. Because if the people actually see you being committed to the very things that you said you would do in your 120 days, it gives them the confidence that indeed this is a leader we can trust. And we have argued, even before the assumption of office, that President Mahama is a trustworthy character that needs the support of the good people of this country. So for us, it means a lot.
Right.
Because it is part of building back confidence in our political class. Again, my brother questioned the relevance of the Accelerated Export Development Council. I can understand your frustration. Even at the manifesto level, these concerns about the duality of that
exactly,
institution
because there's an authority
with the Ghana
with the same
promotion,
mandate.
but those arguments were raised, even at the committee level. Many of our people had issues. But at the end of the day, it was agreed that that particular council was necessary. It is not coming to compete with Ghana Promotion, Export Promotion Authority. It is coming to complement largely because of the agenda President Mahama has when it comes to the agriculture sector.
So then a secretariat could have been set at the
It's
authority.
more or less like a secretariat. That is why it's a council. It's not an authority. It is not an authority. And so we are looking at how it can complement the president's agricultural drive when it comes to taking the full benefits of the agriculture sector. So this is a government that has a workable plan. And for the last 120 days, like we have enumerated, we have implemented a number of them, including things that we did not capture under the 120-day social contract. You remember Hajj Fest? Under his boss, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who pleaded with the Muslim community in this country in 2016 to send him to the Flagstaff House to represent Muslim interests. Hajj Fest were in the region of 75,000 Ghana cedis. Today, under a Christian president and a Christian vice president, Hajj Fest has been brought down to about 62,000 Ghana cedis. And my checks indicates that we have had a shot up in the number from about 4,000 doing pilgrimage last year to 6,000 Ghanaians now queuing to do it. That is monumental. And that builds trust. That tells you that we are dealing with a president who is trustworthy. That tells you that we are dealing with a president who is committed to implementing the promises that he said he would do. You see, another important thing we take for granted in this country is the issue of corruption. We all know that the last 8 years we were saddled with a litany of corruption scandals. Indeed, even the first 100 days of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, when he first won in 2017, we were dealing with the Mubumpina contaminated fuel saga in a matter of 100 days. Stinking corruption. That same presidency, if you remember, we had situations where Delta forces, vigilante groups associated with the New Patriotic Party, besieging our courts, chasing judges in Kumasi who were let to go scot-free. That was a kind of lawlessness that was injected into our body politic. Again, we had to deal with an international embarrassment that has serious consequences on the international image of the Republic of Ghana. Remember the plagiarized speech His Excellency President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo delivered at the Independence Square? So you may look at these things to be intangibles, but it has serious repercussions because it reduces the image of this country internationally. Today, you have a president who is leading a government, and for 120 days, you are unable to make references to allegations of corruption. Today, you have a president who even within the 120 days, instead of bringing the international image of this country down, rather went out of his way to engage the Sahel states and strategically positioning the Republic of Ghana once again to be respected within the African continent and the international community as whole. As a whole, that is the mark of a true leader. That is a mark of a leader who is actually committed to transformation. So I can understand, because my people know. Dennis and Co, they are fully aware that where we are going, of course, they are citizens of this country.
So they are your people.
Of course, we as an NDC government, we cannot accommodate well. They know that where we are heading towards, it is because... No, there are people. They know that where we are heading towards, it is going to be very, very difficult for the Ghanaian people to give the MPP any mandate as far as this fourth Republican Constitution is concerned.
You are casting them into perpetual opposition.
That is what we are committed to do, and we are not going to do it. Our work will do it, and if the Ghanaian people are satisfied with the work that we are doing, I'm pretty much convinced that the Ghanaian government the Ghanaian people will give us the necessary mandate to ensure that we nip the... Then final, please, just under a minute. You see, we are dealing with a political party that for 8 years failed to manage the economy of our country. And even in opposition, their legendary incompetence is staring all of us in the face. Even the internal management of their own party activities. What haven't we seen the last few days? That tells you the kind of incompetence that presided over the Republic of Ghana, the kind of arrogance and vigilantism that was injected into our body politics. Thankfully, we have a gentleman in the person of President John Dramani Mahama, who even leading members of the MPP respect for his intelligence, emotional composure, and trustworthy nature.
Thank you.
And I can assure you, the good people of this country, that unlike them, we are not saying that we'll resolve all the problems in a matter of 120 days, but we can assure them that we are dealing with a leader who is committed to leaving a legacy, because he appreciates that this is his last term. And so we'll do everything within our power to meet the aspirations of the Ghanaian people.
Thank you, Hamza.